All right, good day to everybody. Welcome back to the Formula Sports channel. As always, thanks for being here. And as always, the support is much appreciated. In this video, we are speaking on the U20 squad, the Jamaica U20 squad that was dropped yesterday by the Jamaica Football Federation. First place I saw it was released was on the Instagram page. I don't know if it was released any other way, but it's on the JFF Instagram page. The Jamaica U20 squad for the upcoming World Cup qualifiers versus, you see it on the left hand lower part of your screen right above my webcam, versus Martinique on February the 24th, Grenada on February the 26th, and Bermuda on February the 28th. So the first thing I noticed there is that in typical Concacaf World Cup youth qualification style, there's not a lot of time between the games. There's only one day between each game. So that's not surprising. We have seen that all the time. But yeah, those are the other three teams in the group. Martinique, Grenada, and Bermuda, and the team that tops the group goes through to the next round of the Concacaf U20 World Cup qualifiers. So the squad has been announced for this upcoming World Cup qualification round. You see it on your screen there. Not going to call all the names, but we're going to talk a bit about the U20 squad. I see Craig Butler in the come here. Craig Butler always a cuss about something, people. Butler always a cuss about something. To be fair to him, he does have a bit of a case, and I can understand how he might feel a bit wrong than, the repercussions of it from his perspective. If you look on the squad, you will notice that the Phoenix players are labeled as unattached. That's the first thing I want to talk about quickly. So, for instance, one example, the first name on the squad is Akeem Bernard, the goalkeeper. And when you look beside his name, you see unattached, right? So that's the first thing I want to ask the JFF. Why is it that Phoenix players are unattached? Do you have a legitimate reason for labeling them unattached? Craig Butler is saying from his perspective that the Phoenix Academy is a registered football club in Jamaica. That is what he is saying. And he provided some evidence on his Instagram, indicating that to be the case, right? So if it is that the Phoenix Academy is indeed registered, because I do remember there was a time when he said that they were not registered. Craig Butler said that, but apparently they have now been registered from Craig Butler's side of the story. If that is the case, and if that is true, then why are they listed as unattached? And you guys have been doing it for a few squad announcements now that has been dropped. You guys have listed any of the Phoenix players on it as unattached. What reason do you guys have for doing so? And if you don't have a legitimate reason for doing so, man, cut it out, man, and give the man his fair credit, and put on the squad announcement, where the player is coming from. I see no harm in doing that if it is a case that the club is registered. So that's the first thing. Butler it was a big issue in the comment section of the squad announcement, and on the face of it, rightfully so. So I know the JFF and Craig Butler don't have the best of relationships, but if you guys don't have a legitimate excuse, you guys should be professional and state the name. We even see another academy, for instance, Woodstock Academy. On the squad announcements, when you look on the defenders, you see Ayer Dixon, Woodstock Academy. So, if you guys don't have a legitimate reason, you guys should be professional and put Phoenix there and not be holding any grudges and any personal, beef. So that's the first thing. Second thing, I want to speak about, a few surprising omissions. I was a bit surprised not to see Kobe Thomas, who was a part of the last U20 World Cup campaign and has professional experience. He has played quite a number of games for Inter Miami 2 in the MLS Next Pro. So given his experience and his performances in the last U20 World Cup campaign, which I think were creditable, even though some games he started, some games he didn't, but You know, I'm a bit surprised to see him not available or not in this squad. I don't know why. Malachi Molina as well, I thought would have made it, given the fact that I think he gave a decent showing of himself in the practice games down in Trinidad and Tobago, you know, and he was a part of the last U17 World Cup qualifiers and was probably, well, at the very least, one of the outstanding players for us there, you know, and he has a bit of experience as well in the professional ranks, having made appearances for FC, I think it's North Texas is the name of FC Dallas's MLS Next Pro team, right? So, and that is a professional league. So I was a bit surprised not to see him in the mix as well. That's Malachi Molina, a player that I have a lot of time for, can play right back, right wing back, and other areas of the pitch as well. Jamani Bell, I was a little bit surprised not to see him as well. Thought he gave a decent showing of himself down in Trinidad, and obviously was one of the standouts in our last U17 World Cup campaign as well. He's at the Houston Dynamo Academy, right? So given his experience in that academy, and I think he did decently down in Trinidad as well. Although, to be fair, I could understand concerns about his size. You know, he looks rather small for a U20 player. If I'm not mistaken, he is 16 still, if I'm not mistaken. I think he's 16 at the moment, and doesn't look like he has had a growth spurt. Doesn't look like he has had the growth spurt as yet. But I think he had some decent contributions down in Trinidad and scored a very good goal, a peach of a goal in the first game. A bit surprised not to see him. Also, Nicoy Gale, a little bit surprised not to see him as well. He's a player that I have a bit of time for as well. I can't think off the top of my head. I can't think right now off the top of my head any players that are getting consistent game time in the JPL that are eligible for the U20s and are not in the squad. If you can think of any player off the top of your head, hit me in the comment section and let me know of a name who is eligible for the U20s that plays regular minutes in the JPL that has not been included in the squad. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, for the 100th time, Dixon is not eligible for the U20s. I still see people asking about the omission of Dixon, the Arnett Gardens player. He's not eligible. He's too old for the U20s for the 100th time. Christ. Surprising players that have made it that were a little bit surprising to me. I didn't expect to see Alexander Bicknell in the squad. You know, he did very well for us, had a very good performance, and did creditably well in the last U20 World Cup campaign. You remember he didn't feature in the first few couple of games, and then he came in and really helped us to stabilize the midfield in the last U20 World Cup campaign. He is back again this time. I didn't expect to see him simply because he is now signed to a club in Portugal, and you know, I didn't expect to see European-based players in this squad simply because, you know, they would currently be in season, and this is not a FIFA window that these games are being played in. So Alexander Bicknell and also all the UK-based players that you see in this squad, I was a little bit surprised to see them, right? Because some of them play in, like, for instance, the Premier League U18, and might have some appearances as well in the Premier League 2, the U21s. So I was a little bit surprised to see them. I did not expect to see those players in this squad, to be honest with you, because they're in season based in Europe. The North American players, obviously, we're not surprised because, you know, they are currently not in season in North America. They're out of season, right? The center forward position is a position that I am a little bit concerned about as well. If you look at the three forwards on your screen, Ashton Gordon, Nick Simmons, and Tyrese Go. The only out-and-out center forward that I see in this squad is Nick Simmons. Ashton Gordon isn't really an out-and-out center forward. He's more of a wide player from what I have seen of him, and given his whole makeup and how he plays, and very pacey, lightning quick player. Ashton Gordon, a bullet out of a gun. And Go is not really a traditional center forward either. The baller Go doing is a decent little baller, He had some very good touches playing false nine down in Trinidad. He was playing like a false nine in the practice games down in Trinidad the other day for the U20s, and I was very impressed. He had some very good touches, even though he wasn't much of a goal threat, but certainly those touches would have helped him build up, right? And I know some people are concerned about his size as well, saying that, he wasn't, the size was an issue for some people. Some people thought that he was being bullied physically, which I don't really agree with that, right? And he does have significant JPL experience, for Dunby Holding. He hasn't featured as much this season, going off memory, as much as last season, but he was heavily involved last season for Dunby Holding. So, but, it's only one out-and-out center forward I'm seeing in this squad. There's only one that I'm recognizing, and that is Nick Simmons. If you guys see any other in the squad, a traditional number 9, you guys let me know. So that, like a person that is, his job is to score goals, And even Nick Simmons, I know that he has professional experience with Richmond. Is it strikers or kickers? The USL League One team, right? I think kickers is the academy and strikers is the USL League One team. I'm going off the top of my head. I stand corrected where that is concerned, but I know he has some experience in the professional ranks, playing in the American third tier. 7 games in the American third tier, 1 goal which was scored on his debut. So he hasn't been the most prolific in the USL League One, So I don't know. I'm a little bit, and that wouldn't be surprising because he's very young and he just made the jump to the senior professional ranks. But yeah, I'm a little bit concerned about the center forward position in terms of where are the goals going to come from, right? I wouldn't say thoroughly impressed with how the team did in the preseason, in the practice games, but the performances gave me some encouragement going into these World Cup qualifiers. I thought the team looked better with each passing game, played better with each passing game. I was very impressed with their game, the second game versus Police FC, which was them playing against some grown men, and you could see the difference in size. They were playing against grown men and one of the best teams in the Trinidadian First Division League. So I thought that they looked better with each passing game. I saw structure on both sides of the ball, in defense and also in attack, which is very important for me, even though sometimes the execution was not the best, but you saw that the players were playing with a structure in place. And with each passing game, the mistakes were getting less and less. Hopefully that those practice games in Trinidad, and they did play some practice games against some JPL teams as well. I know of one for sure off the top of my head. I don't remember if they played others as well. But hopefully those practice games were enough preparation for the young Reggae Boyz going into this tournament. Previous national youth teams have suffered tremendously because of poor preparation. This group is certainly far more prepared than even the previous group and the previous groups. So hopefully they are prepared enough, even though I know some people, have been raising concerns about they haven't been active for the last couple of weeks. But hopefully they are prepared enough. From what I hear, some of the teams that will be playing in this World Cup qualifiers in the group have been playing practice matches as well, and they themselves have been preparing relatively well. I expect a lot of John Wall in this upcoming World Cup qualifier, so hopefully he does not disappoint. As I said, from a coaching standpoint, for the most part, I was comfortable with what I saw of him in the practice games the other day. So, you know, hopefully the young Reggae Boyz can pull this off and get to get out of this group, and they should be able to. I mean, I can't tell you much about Martinique, Grenada, and Bermuda right now, but generally speaking, these are, and historically speaking, these are small Caribbean islands that don't really produce a lot of quality relative to what we produce. So historically speaking, we should be significantly better than these teams. If I were to take a guess, you know, a responsible guess, I would say. And, you know, I expect us to top this group, and I expect us to be getting to the next round and getting to the next round rather comfortably. With that being said, you know, knock up the likes button, subscribe, and share. Take care, guys. Stay safe. And until next time, we're wishing the young Reggae Boyz all the best.